It's a new edition of the Bigfoot Journal, your twice-monthly Bigfoot news update. What happened and what's ahead in Bigfoot research and news, only on the Untold Radio Network. The Bigfoot Journal is now. With your host, Mike Luci.
And we're rolling. What's going on, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of the Bigfoot Journal, your bi-weekly review of what happened and what's ahead in the Bigfoot world. If it's your first time joining us, let me tell you how this works. We sweep the internet every other week, highlight the top Bigfoot reports and news stories, and share our findings in a fast-paced 30-minute time frame. Here are this episode's top stories. How big can Bigfoot get? 10, 12, 15 feet? Our lead story looks at the potential height range of these creatures, why a certain scientific law can help us find these parameters, and we'll be joined by a familiar face from This Week in Bigfoot to share his first-hand account and thoughts on this highly contested topic. We're covering a recent study in the timing of mountain lion activity and why it could give credibility to alleged Bigfoot reports in or near major population centers. Plus, the You Decide part of our report roundup breaks down a personal favorite of mine that I believe has some of the best odds of potentially being the real deal. We got a lot to cover and we're already on the clock, so make sure you're settled and ready because episode 8 is officially underway.
Bigfoot in Sciences Now.
Our lead story looks to answer a fundamental question. How big is Bigfoot? They seem to fall in an average height range of 7 to 10 feet. However, some reports say they can get up to 15 feet tall. Is this possible? Well, to start this one off, we had an old friend join us to share his encounter with one that he says was around that size.
MG, have you seen the Bigfoot Pig Massacre video?
If you watch This Week in Bigfoot, you might remember the 2 Minutes With segment by content creator Michael Merchant, aka Stonewalker Prime. We were fortunate to catch up with Michael, who recounted one bizarre sighting he allegedly had of a true giant.
We were elevated maybe 50 to 70 feet above this pond, and we could look down, and there was a bunch of hemlock trees, right? And we could see between the gaps. It was very substantial. There was this disturbance that moved between the hemlocks. And I say moved between the hemlocks. It gave the appearance of coming out of the hemlock and going into a hemlock. After it did that predator thing, the next thing that comes out of a tree, which made me gasp, I can remember I went, like I audibly gasped. I was shocked. It was this massive, solid black, humanoid type creature. Its arms were too long. Like, I don't know if they went below the knees or not, but it struck me it had really, really long arms. A roundish, very round head. It didn't have that cone that you hear, that some people report. It was very, very round. I couldn't make out like facial. It was just very black, like a solid black shadow, right? It appeared to have massive shoulders, huge legs, like the thing was just ginormous. And it appeared to come out of this hemlock tree, cross the distance between, the gap, and then went into this tree and never came out the other side. Lady K, being the fearless researcher, explorer that she is, volunteered to run down there immediately, and I stayed right where we were because I wanted to compare the size, right? I couldn't comprehend in my mind how big this thing was. And when she went down there, it was a full 3 times her height.
Michael's story begs the aforementioned question. And if Bigfoot is real, there's a certain mathematical principle called square cube law that could help determine if behemoths of that size may in fact lurk in our woods. In a nutshell, square cube law explains the relationship of an object's size between its surface area and volume. Basically, as something gets bigger, the object's surface area gets squared by its increased size, while its internal volume gets cubed. As a result, an object's structural stress increases with size. In engineering, square cube law helps ensure a structure can withstand the stress and doesn't collapse under its own weight, but the same principles also apply to wildlife. As an animal gets bigger, their weight increases relative to its volume, while their bone and muscle strength grow in proportion to its surface area. Because of this, larger animals experience higher stress on their bones, limiting their agility and making them more susceptible to breaks. Larger animals adapted to this principle by developing disproportionately sized limbs and thicker bones. It allows them to evenly distribute structural stress so they don't collapse under their own weight. This explains why ants can lift things up to 50 times heavier than them, while elephants can only lift 25% their body weight, why cats can survive falls from great heights, while horses can suffer severe injuries from running, and why the existence of dinosaurs or gorillas lifting up to 10 times their body weight doesn't violate this law. So let's bring things full circle. If it's real, what could square cube law tell us about the purported heights of Bigfoots? Let's hear Michael's thoughts on this million-dollar question.
The huge Sasquatch creature that I saw, that I estimated was close to 15 feet in height, just appeared to be a scaled-up version of a smaller size. That's not what you would expect. You would have expected its extremities to, its legs to be perhaps shorter, definitely really, really large. The whole thing was massive, but I don't really have any way of gauging whether a law applies to it or not. If it does apply, you would expect to see a higher percentage of large, massive, taller, Sasquatches in the north with shorter extremities. Of course, that would apply to Allen's law, but even if you were using the square cube law, you would expect their legs to be massive. For them, 15-foot tall Sasquatch, what's it weighing? 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 pounds? That's a lot of weight. It's going to need massive bones to support that.
Now, here's the interesting part. Something this tall and heavy would need extremely thick bones and muscles of disproportionate sizes to support their body's structural stress. But one could argue squatches already exhibit these features based on descriptions of their elongated arms and shorter legs. They would also need exponentially stronger muscles to account for the disparity between them and their weight. Could this explain the extraordinary physical capabilities they supposedly possess? Square cube law might also explain why they have such massive feet. As bipedal creatures, they likely need them to distribute their weight as a way of reducing their body's structural stress. Now, despite how these reported characteristics seem to follow square cube law, there are some notable contradictions. A lot of reports describe squatches running at speeds faster than any human. However, while larger, heavier animals like elephants and rhinos can run up to 25 miles an hour, it might be trickier for a two-legged creature in excess of 7 feet. This would likely be due to the disproportionate scaling between its muscle and weight, which would require greater energy output. Throw in how these asymmetries might complicate their balance, agility, and coordination, a Bigfoot-like creature could have an extremely difficult time reaching or maintaining high running speeds. And while these might present some steep anatomical challenges for a 7 to 10 foot tall Bigfoot, let alone a 15-footer, could square cube law still account for these contradictions and any of their potential adaptations? Michael shared some thoughts on this aspect that were definitely thought-provoking.
I've seen a couple of these things, and they've done extremely strange things. This leads me to believe that they may not follow the evolutionary pathways that we see on Earth, and I don't think we're ever going to find them in the fossil record. Having said that, regardless of what dimension or what other planet they possibly could have evolved on, pretty much everything follows the square cube law. It's a physical law.
We want to thank Michael for speaking with us on this topic. He's welcome back on the show anytime. Make sure to check out the amazing content he posts on his YouTube channel, Snowwalker Prime. Square cube law makes some compelling cases on how big squatches can potentially get, along with the anatomical challenges and limitations they might face. Reports of 10 to 15 plus foot tall giants will probably continue, whether you think principles like square cube law are grounds for their dismissal, or there's other factors at play allowing them to reach these towering heights. Nonetheless, it adds a unique component that might make Bigfoot's potential existence easier to defend, but also more difficult to solve.
Although Bigfoot are said to be elusive and rare, reports still happen in or near highly populated areas. While many critics call this a contradictory narrative, some believe Squatches made the right adaptations to stay undetected. Skeptics still might scoff at this explanation, but there is evidence that large predators actually do this in these developed locations. We'll break down a recent study on how mountain lions seem to be changing their timing of activity in highly populated areas, and if something like a Bigfoot could make similar adaptations. Researchers completed a long-term study of mountain lion coexistence with people and urbanization. They monitored the movements of mountain lions in the greater Los Angeles area and Santa Monica Mountains. Since LA's high levels of development and human activity make it difficult for animals to reach locations that aren't impacted by people, scientists wanted to learn how the activity of mountain lions may change in response to heightened levels of human recreation. Part of their study involved tracking 22 mountain lions in the area over a number of years. They compared data of the mountain lions' locations and activities with information that recreationists recorded on the Strava app, where individuals document their outdoor activities. Their findings revealed that mountain lions living in the areas with higher levels of human recreation were most active at night. They spent more time resting during the day, but also kept lower profiles at dawn and dusk. This is very noteworthy because mountain lions are usually on the move at these times. As expected, data from the Strava app revealed human recreationalists had the highest traffic between dawn and dusk. So, the study revealed a clear pattern showing how peak mountain lion activity occurred when human traffic in these areas were at the lowest. Mountain lions in the greater LA area are threatened by fracturing habitat, busy roadways, wildfires, and exposure to pesticides. Although these factors are a good explanation to their altered activity patterns, scientists are concerned they're adding additional pressure to an already stressed population. These changes in behavior seem to help mountain lions avoid heat, while increasing their chances of encountering prey that are also active at these times. The study's results are similar to the previous ones that found other mammal predators like coyotes, tigers, and wild boar making similar shifts in their activity patterns to avoid humans. These changes could explain why there are still mountain lion sightings in the eastern U.S., despite wildlife officials insisting they've been extinct here for decades. It might also be why sightings of other species believed to be extinct still persist. Maybe they took a step further in changing their activity patterns and mastered the ability to completely avoid humans. So, if other large animals are doing this, is it that out of question for Bigfoot to follow suit? After realizing the potential threats of human activity, Squatches could have arguably taken more effective steps to conceal their presence. They would have likely retreated deeper into highly remote locations, or better acclimate to nighttime hours. Considering how Bigfoot are believed to be nocturnal and smarter than other predators like mountain lions, one could argue they might do a much better job staying hidden in these areas. This study offers valuable insight on how large predators are coexisting with humans while staying under the radar. When it comes to the potential existence of Bigfoot, it highlights how they can leverage factors like intelligence and adaptability to remain undetected and go about their business, maybe even right under our noses.
Report Roundup is now.
Alright, and this is our report roundup. If they're out there, it's our part of the show that updates you on the latest Bigfoot reports from major databases and across the internet. This time around, we got reports coming out of the southern Ozarks, the Midwest, and one from our neighbors up north for this episode's You Decide. There have been quite a few reports from the Bigfoot Mapping Project worth covering. This first one we'll look at covers one witness's bizarre sighting while hunting in northeast Indiana. The witness says they were monitoring a herd of deer and preparing to shoot when the herd scattered. The witness described having a faint sighting of a Bigfoot-like creature standing at the edge of the woods. They believe the creature was hunting the same deer herd because it was grunting, knocking, and causing a ruckus. According to the report, the figure was about 6 feet tall and cinnamon brown in color. This next report doesn't contain too many details, but allegedly happened in southwest Arkansas pretty close to the Louisiana border. All it says is the witness was feeding their pigs. They then claimed to see a tall, dark creature that ran across their yard and fled into the woods. The report seems to mention there were footprints and knocking sounds, but has no specific mention of them in the description. Other than that, it claims the creature was 6.5 feet tall and either black or very dark colored. Our third one reportedly happened in northwest Oklahoma and occurred in May 2020. According to the witness, they were in their room one night playing video games with some friends. One of them claimed to hear a knocking sound coming from outside and allegedly saw what the report describes as a huge thing. The figure then made a loud scream that the witness said made his hair stand on the back of their neck. The witness said they could see the figure's outline, but believed whatever they saw was about 8 to 9 feet tall. This last one comes from Southeast Louisiana and allegedly happened in June 1975. The witness says they were in their parents' camper with some friends when one of them allegedly spotted the Bigfoot-like creature while discarding a cigarette. The witness says it stood at the edge of the woods and released a loud scream. The witness, their friends, and parents all allegedly spotted the figure before it fled, during which it continued screaming. According to the report, the creature was about 5 feet tall with blackish brown hair.
A new report was recently published on the BFRO's public database that happened in eastern Nebraska. The alleged sighting occurred about 1 month ago in Douglas County, which is where the city of Omaha is located and borders western Iowa. The witness claims he was talking with his ex-wife outside her house when he looked up the driveway and saw what he described as a tall, hairy figure. He claimed it was about 150 feet away, and he only saw it for a few seconds as it walked behind a nearby duplex. The creature was between 6 and 6.5 feet tall, had dark brown fur, and was allegedly spotted by the witness's ex-wife on previous occasions. In Matt Moneymaker's follow-up, he notes how Squatches could use a nearby railroad bed to move through the area undetected. He also cites 4 previous BFRO reports that happened in and around the same area.
In a recent post on the Bigfoot subreddit, one witness recounts her sighting of a black Bigfoot-like creature when she was 12 years old. It happened about 18 years ago in Missouri, likely somewhere near the borders of Johnson and Clinton counties. The OP, now 30 years old, says she was staying at her friend's farm and riding one of the horses near a marshy area. The horse kicked up, knocking the witness and her friend off before fleeing. After getting thrown off their horse, the OP says they locked eyes with a huge hairy creature. She claims it was gorilla-sized, had black matted hair, and was perched in a tree about 9 to 12 feet above the ground. The OP says her father also had strange encounters, like getting hit in the face with a rock and seeing one Bigfoot-like creature eating a deer. Now we're moving on to the You Decide part of our roundup, where we break down a notable photo, video, or other piece of potential Bigfoot evidence. Our goal here is to lay out all the facts and details, so we can help you decide if it's the real deal. Here's Mike with his episode's breakdown.
So I'm pretty excited about this one. We'll be reviewing the Craven footage, which in my opinion has some of the best odds of potentially being the real deal. BFRO founder Matt Moneymaker recently posted about the footage in the BFRO public Facebook group. Moneymaker says a prominent TV network is looking for information on the video and the person who recorded it for a request to license the footage. Here's what the original video shows. The video begins by offering some context to its backstory. The witness claims they were driving one evening and kept using the term "we," implying they were with other people. They saw something walking in a ditch alongside the road and pulled over to film what they could of the figure before it disappeared. They also clarified it was filmed near the village of Craven in Saskatchewan, Canada. The video shows just that, a large human-shaped figure walking downhill in the brush alongside a dirt road. The entire clip is about 12 seconds long, the figure being visible until the final 1 to 2 seconds. You can hear very heavy wind, which could have prevented the figure from hearing or sensing the car, depending on what direction it was blowing. The footage was originally posted on a YouTube channel called Brian Johnson. It was created on September 30th, 2013. The video was posted that same day, and it's the only video posted on the channel. Now, we have no exact date on when it was filmed. However, the tree foliage looks to show a mix of green and traditional fall colors. Leaves usually don't start to change until around mid to late September in Saskatchewan, so it looks like this video was filmed around the time it was uploaded to YouTube. The figure in question appears to be a solid black or dark brown color. It looks to have a conical shaped head and broad shoulders and shows no sign of having a neck. Between the thick brush and slope it's walking down, there's not really much we can work with to try and scale its height. I will say that the figure does seem to have an up-down movement when it walks. Skeptics might argue this is a human-like characteristic, unlike the smooth, glide-like stride Squatches are said to have when they move. One particular detail I'd like to point out is how the creature was allegedly encountered. To reiterate, it happened during an evening drive, and the video began after the figure was initially spotted. The vast majority of Class A reports happened when the witness is driving, and dusk is one of the times when animals are most active. You could also argue that a chance encounter like this, catching an alleged Squatch on film after it was first spotted, is more believable. I don't know about you, but I personally think the odds of recording one while you just happen to be filming something else are exponentially low. The village of Craven has a population of around 200. It's in a very remote part of southern Saskatchewan that's surrounded by miles of farmland. Although the terrain is relatively flat, it's surrounded by waterways, valleys, and sizable patches of forest. Many people who commented on previous breakdowns of the footage say this region has plenty of places for something the size of a Bigfoot to hide. And if you take the region's sparse population into consideration, these conditions could definitely work in its favor. Now, some skeptics of the footage mention how the valley hosts a large annual music festival near Craven. It's a 2 to 3 day event called Country Thunder Saskatchewan that usually hosts about 25,000 people. While an event this size would certainly deter any Squatches in the area, the real kicker here is this festival almost always happens in July. And if this footage was taken in September, it would have been about 2 months after the festival occurred in 2013, which happened between July 11th and 14th of that year. So I'd say the odds of it being a non-factor are pretty favorable. Hopefully this breakdown provides enough information to help you decide if the Craven footage is a hoax, misidentification, or the real deal. I also included analyses from Phil Polling's Power Breakdown channel and Paranormal Portal in the video's description. They provide excellent breakdowns from both sides of the spectrum, so make sure to give them a watch. Otherwise, that about does it for this episode's report roundup. Remember, if they're out there, you'll hear about them, and who knows, maybe the next one happens somewhere near you.
Pop culture news is now.
We've got some big news for smartphone and tablet users. An actual Bigfoot emoji could be coming to your device. An organization called the Unicode Consortium unveiled a group of potential new emojis, including one for Bigfoot. They revealed what the Bigfoot emoji might look like, its potential meanings in text-based conversations, and a potential time frame for its release. The Unicode Consortium is a nonprofit organization responsible for developing and maintaining the Unicode standard, which ensures consistent encoding, representation, and handling of text across different computing systems, platforms, and languages. Every year, the Unicode Consortium decides on new emoji characters for smartphones and other devices. According to a recent article from MacRumors.com, the Unicode Consortium revealed mock-ups for proposals of 8 new emojis. They included a distorted face, apple core, orca, and of course Bigfoot. The emoji proposal highlighted Bigfoot's impact on pop culture, media, and tourism. It specifically cited the iconic Patterson-Gimlin film Stance that many people associate with Bigfoot and as a main driver behind its widespread notoriety. The proposal noted how Bigfoot's scarcity created a legend that's only grown in recognition, breeding a multitude of hoaxes, gimmicks, and cultural fascination whose fandom only continues to rise. It also examined Google search trends for the term Bigfoot and listed multiple uses the emoji could depict, like movement, stealth, and mystery. The proposal justifies adding a Bigfoot emoji because it stands on its own, representing a symbol of folklore that feels absent from the current fantasy creature lineup. It also says the emoji embodies a culture and personality that extends beyond the literal use of the aforementioned existing options. With no other emojis coming close to portraying Bigfoot, most smartphone users relied on alternatives like the monkey face and footprint emojis to depict Bigfoot in text messages. It's important to note that the Unicode Consortium only comes up with an emoji's underlying code. Upon approval, smartphone company designers will create their own versions of each character. According to the Mac Rumor article, these new emojis will likely be approved at some point next fall. It will take companies like Apple time to implement these new emojis, so it looks like we should expect them around spring 2026. Check out the video's description for a link to the full Unicode Consortium proposal, and let us know in the comments how you'd use a Bigfoot emoji in conversations. While this isn't a huge breakthrough story, it's definitely another testament to Bigfoot's relevance in modern pop culture, showing its interest and awareness is going strong in 2024.
News and updates are now.
We've got a few updates to share with you on segments from some of our recent episodes. Starting with our most recent update, in episode 7, we covered the escape of 43 lab monkeys from the Alpha Genesis Research Facility in Yemassee, South Carolina. As of recording this segment, 39 of the escaped rhesus macaque primates have been recovered, with 4 still at large. Although it doesn't seem like their breakout coincided with any cryptid sightings in the area, that same research facility is currently under federal investigation. The Department of Agriculture is reportedly looking into several primate deaths at the Alpha Genesis Research Facility. According to People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, commonly known as PETA, credible whistleblower reports claim that 18 to 20 rhesus macaques died after a heater malfunctioned on Friday, November 22nd. While no direct link has been established between the two incidents, this isn't the first time Alpha Genesis's Yemassee Research Center has been investigated. If anything, it could potentially reveal more about the facility's practices, treatment, and management of their animals. In addition to the Yemassee Lab monkey escape, Episode 7 also covered news on Les Stroud's upcoming documentary, The Question of Bigfoot. Even at the time of releasing our initial segment, the project's Kickstarter shattered its initial fundraising goal. As of recording the segment, the project has more than doubled how much it raised, which is currently around $85,000 with 605 backers. Les has made some recent podcast appearances to discuss the project, including the premiere of Native Giants and the Paranormal 60 with Dave Schrader. There's still a little more than 3 weeks left if you're interested in donating. You can find a link to Les's Kickstarter page in the video's description.
Filmmaker Eric Pelusios released details on another possible Bigfoot report he uncovered coming out of East Texas. In some recent Facebook posts, Eric posted images of police documents he received through a FOIA request. He notes how the caller used the word primate in their description. Eric says he'll be hosting a live stream to discuss his findings in a fuller detail. This is the latest of multiple reports Eric has investigated that are coming out of East Texas, Louisiana, and other parts of the Ozark region. Make sure to check out Eric's YouTube channel, Media Palace, to stay updated on these recent developments. In our series premiere, we covered the NHL's newest team, currently known as the Utah Hockey Club. They started the 2024-2025 season without an official team name, but there's a good chance it might be a popular Bigfoot alias, the Yeti. After holding a 2-part contest for fans to vote on the team name, the organization plans on releasing it before the 2025-2026 season. Yeti appears to be the clear favorite, which would make Utah the first pro sports team in North America to adopt a Bigfoot-related name and logo. Utah HC's president of hockey operations, Chris Armstrong, says the team's official jersey design and colors won't deviate too far from their current layout and are getting positive feedback. One of Utah's own players may have even hinted that their official name will in fact be the Yeti. When asked about the team's potential name, forward Clayton Keller said, quote, "It sounds like it's going to be the Yeti, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Whatever they choose, I think it'll be a good one." That does it for this round of updates. You can find more information about them in the video's description. We'll try to do something like this whenever news pops up on any segments we previously covered. On that note, here's Chuck Larson with this episode's Bigfoot Spotlight.
Bigfoot Spotlight is now.
What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining our Bigfoot Spotlight, the part of our show where we highlight a few recent Bigfoot live streams, films, and events. In this episode's Spotlight, we're covering a new Bigfoot-themed horror movie, one of the latest Small Town Monsters documentaries, and some recent videos. Starting us off, it's an upcoming horror movie, Sawtooth Mountain, written and directed by Matt Kinseth. In an exclusive Dread Central article, it states how the movie just wrapped up production in the town of Pitt Meadows, British Columbia. Starring Sidney Sosha, Landon Laboran, Gabriel Carter, Maitreya Scarwenner, and Judy Wilson, the film follows 3 college students on a weekend getaway. After booking a Bigfoot-themed cabin from 2 paranormal-obsessed brothers, they get more than they bargained for when their trip turns into a terrifying fight for survival. We'll update you with more information on the film's release date, so make sure you keep an eye out for future developments. Next, we have the latest addition to the Small Town Monsters Appalachian Bigfoot Files series, Police Encounter the Adirondack Sasquatch. STM filmmaker Alexander Petikoff does another fantastic job in this episode as he dives into the southern Adirondacks' well-documented history of Bigfoot encounters.
The creature was called in the 1800s the Wild Man. So we have this rich history here.
With the help of New York-based researchers Paul Bartholomew and Steve Coles, they discussed sightings in the Whitehall area, as well as the New York baby footage, aka the Pridgeon film. Definitely take the time to give this one a watch.
Track creature, and that described this Bigfoot type creature.
Finally, I'm spotlighting 2 recent videos that are making the rounds. First, it's Bigfoot Proof, why it wasn't a suit in the Patterson-Gimlin film, found on the Cabin in the Woods YouTube channel. If you're a believer in the Patterson-Gimlin film, then you need to put this one on your watch list.
She had no involvement in creating any costume.
The crew of Cabin in the Woods covers details of the footage, like Patty's anatomy, along with existing technology in the 1960s. They also make strong cases for debunking the stories of Bob Hieronymus, Philip Morris, as well as the book written by Greg Long.
Those of Hieronymus and Morris further undermine the credibility of the hoax theory as a whole.
About 50 feet away, a giant brown and reddish-haired creature emerged from the tree line and crossed ahead.
Next, it's an episode from the YouTube channel The Venomous Fringe, titled The Beast of Gum Hill. Narrated by researcher Chris Cyrus, the video examines different encounters in the Gum Hill area of Virginia. It touches on the area's history of Bigfoot reports over the years, including the infamous 2009 footage 2 men recorded while riding their ATVs.
Footage was the origin of the infamous title, The Beast of Gum Hill.
And that wraps up this episode's Bigfoot Spotlight. Check out the video's description for more information on everything we covered. I'll catch you on the next one. Take us out, Mike.
Well, that does it for episode 8 of the Bigfoot Journal. Make sure to check out the video's description for more information on the segments we covered. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share Hear It Untold on the CARC. If you have questions, a story to share, or want the CARC to investigate your Bigfoot encounter, shoot us an email or drop us a line in the comments. For Chuck, Larson, and Tobi Crum, I'm Mike Luci signing off. We appreciate each and every one of you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Program is distributed by the Untold Radio Network. All rights reserved.